Hello, this is Peter Godinez with K80YTV.net. Welcome to the Meet the Candidate series. And we have the good pleasure of being able to interview John Griffin. And he's got a middle name, J. What does J actually stand for?
J is for Joseph.
Joseph. So we have John Joseph Griffin here. And we just are just so curious to find out. But thank you so much for being on the program.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to come and visit with you. I very much enjoy what I have seen of your program and programming from my job over at Cal State University Channel Islands. I'm an instructor over there, and you guys are always there to cover the events that are most important to our community. So thank you, too, for this opportunity.
Well, we try our best. You know, Bob Allen is a great man, and he makes it great. So thank you so much for that comment. But, you know, tell me about yourself. I mean, tell us where you were raised. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I grew up in Northern California. I was raised in Sonoma County. County very much like Ventura County, actually. It's agricultural and a lot of farming up there. Now, of course, there are a lot of grapes up there. And at the time, it was a quite small county, about 40 miles north of San Francisco. And I grew up in a big family. I was the oldest of 7, Irish Catholic family, and went to parochial school, got a good grounding in my values from the nuns, and then went on to San Jose State for my undergraduate degree. I studied engineering at San Jose State. And after that, I took a job working for an airline and got to travel all over the world. I got to see so many places for a period of about 10 years that, you know, I really came to the conclusion after that that the world is so big, and there were so many places by that time that I wanted to go back and see again, that, you know, I really turned my focus to the United States and traveled around the United States extensively and got to visit every state and got to meet a lot of people, a lot of different people all over the country. I then turned my attention to what I really wanted to be when I grew up, and took a role in law school and studied law for a period of 4 years, and graduated, passed the bar in Maryland, passed the bar in D.C., and practiced law for about 20 years in the D.C. area. During that time, I met my wife, and we've been married for 35 years. And the biggest success I had was in talking her into moving to California, moving back to California where I was born and raised. At the time we were living in the Mid-Atlantic area, and she agreed to move here for 5 years. And if I told her that after 5 years we'll move anywhere, and after 5 years she was pretty well set that Ventura County is a great place to live.
She fell in love with it.
She did, yeah.
Let's go back just a little bit. I was curious to know, in high school, what were some of the things you did in high school that you remember where you had involved in extracurricular activity?
Oh, quite a few, yes. Well, it was a small school. There were 50 students in my class, so 200 in the whole school. And in that community, you didn't just know your classmates, you knew their brothers and sisters, and I had brothers and sisters, and so everybody knew everybody very well. Because it was co-ed, there was 50 in my class, so 25 boys, 25 girls. You went out for every sport because we couldn't field the team unless you had everybody participating. So yes, I was on the football team, I played baseball, I played track, and did a lot of extracurricular activities. Was in the Glee Club, worked on the yearbook, and I was elected student body president. So I got my start in politics, I guess, in high school.
So leadership. So that transitioned on to college. What were some of your passions and some of the things you were learning during that particular higher education experience?
You know, that was tough because I had a tough course of study. Engineering didn't leave me a lot of time for those extracurricular activities. I was involved with calculus and physics and chemistry. Along the way, I also discovered biology, which was odd because most engineers are not too much into the biological sciences, but because I was a mechanical engineer, I studied systems and I studied how machines worked, and when I learned about what the human cell does and how interesting it is that it produces energy from the food we eat, that I became fascinated. So I got a minor in biology as well as a minor in math, and my major was engineering. So that kept me pretty busy. I mean, I had all the usual things that we did for recreation, of course, going to the beach. Santa Cruz wasn't too far away, so we spent a lot of time on the Monterey Bay. But between working, as I did over the summer, I went back to home to Petaluma, where I had a job working in a building supply yard. I worked, 60, 70 hours a week during that time to afford to be able to pay my way through college.
And was there any kind of experience between high school and college, an experience that you think really kind of changed who you were and who you are and what you were going to do the rest of your life?
Not particularly, but one very interesting experience that I had a few years later was when I went to the movie theater and saw that film American Graffiti. American Graffiti, as it turns out, well, it was filmed when I think I was just out of college, but it was about that very time, and it was filmed in Petaluma.
I knew that, yes.
And it was such a flashback to that year between high school and college, because that was the subject of the film, that it was very eerie.
That is interesting. I knew that.
And I had very much the same experience, leaving the town I grew up, saying goodbye to the friends that I had, and really trying to make a decision about what I wanted to do for my life.
I can see how you connected with American Graffiti.
Oh, it was eerie.
Was there anybody in that time frame who you considered you mentioned some nuns, you mentioned your parents, but was there one individual who you would have considered your mentor from, let's say, high school to the college time frame?
I really have to say that my parents, my dad was really instrumental in guiding me in the direction that I went as far as my schooling. He was a school teacher. He taught for 40 years in Petaluma there. He was the oldest school teacher, longest tenured teacher in the system there. And during that time, he never missed a day of class for being sick or anything. So I think my work ethic really sprung from his his example, and I've carried that forward for the rest of my life, and I've worked hard at everything I've done.
It's a good mentor, very
Yeah.
good mentor. Your dad, that's
Yeah.
really good. So once you're all graduated, you've gone to the boardwalk at Santa Cruz, and now it's like, oh, wait a minute, I need to make a living. So tell us, expound, you said what you did, but expound how that went.
Yeah, that was a very interesting experience because I was enrolled in engineering, and they had a specific week dedicated at San Jose State where technical companies would come to school and interview engineers for employment. And it was fairly easy to get a job as an engineer at that time, as it is today. But one company came that I didn't know. It's called Eastern Airlines. And Eastern Airlines was hiring flight attendants. And the reason they came during engineering week was because they were specifically trying to hire men. At the time, a Supreme Court ruling had decided that they didn't have enough men in their ranks of flight attendants or stewardesses, and so they were aggressively hiring men. And when I went for the interview, I said, well, what's a flight attendant? I really had maybe been on a plane once in my life at that point. And they explained it to me, and as I thought about it, I said, well, why not do this for a couple of years and travel and get around and see things. And so I was intrigued to take a kind of detour from my engineering studies. As it turned out, I got laid off after the first 8 months on the job, and then I did take a job in engineering for a period of time when I worked for Honeywell for a period of time there.
Quite a transition, don't you say?
It was, yeah. But it was a great experience to travel. I have to say that that really shaped my vision of the world and my vision of how fortunate we are in the United States to enjoy the lifestyle that we do.
Oh, definitely, most definitely. And sounds like you went into education. Was there a time that you transitioned from the engineering career and you chose education?
Well, I really went another direction into law. And
Okay.
I practiced law for a number of years after working for the airline. It wasn't really until about 5 years ago that I decided to take up teaching. And I don't know if it was in my blood because of my family, or just that it just seemed like a good thing to do at the time. But I took started teaching one class over at Cal State Channel Islands, and over the next couple of years I took on one more and one more and one more, and now I'm full-time as far as my teaching activities go.
So you started at the high level. You weren't, working yourself, working in high school and always.
Oh, no,
just
no.
directly to high education then, huh?
Yes, that's right. I decided to get an MBA when I was about 50 years old. Went back to school. I'm kind of the poster child of lifetime learning. And and I did that with the intention that I could apply what I had learned about business, what I'd learned about law, and I imagine myself teaching business law, which I have taught, but I've also taught a number of other courses because of the experiences I've had. For example, I'm teaching management information systems now, so that's technology along with business, and I'm also teaching a finance class. I actually have about 100 students in finance right now. Again, that kind of falls back on my math background to handle the finance.
Nice. I know it's kind of a little bit changed, but you got me really curious about your family. Your wife and you have been married 30-something years.
Yes.
What's the key to staying married a long time, in your opinion? I'm sure you get that a lot.
Well, I guess it's, give each other the room to grow. And my wife has been very generous with me in allowing me a chance to grow and experience different things. And the same for me with her. She has a certain amount of freedom that if she decides that she wants to do something, I'm supportive of that. So I think you just have to give each other that opportunity, because over that period of time you obviously make some changes in your life, and you don't want those changes to come into conflict with each other. So to the extent that you can be accepting of the fact that you are going to change over a long period of time, that's important, I'd say.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer. Did you have children along the way?
Yes, we have three children. They're adults now, and we're so fortunate to have one grandchild and another one on the way.
Congratulations.
So by July 4th, we should be grandparents the second time around. So we're thrilled about that, and we're especially thrilled because my son and daughter-in-law with the grandchild were living in Atlanta until January, and they just moved to, well, he took a job in Santa Barbara, and now they're living in Carpinteria, so it's a lot closer than Atlanta.
I would think so.
And we get our arms around that granddaughter a lot more often.
That's going to be nice. So what values were you trying to provide your children as they were growing up?
Well, the most important value that I learned is giving and sharing. I've always felt a passion for being generous with what fortunes we have, and so I've tried to instill that in my children. Also, a sense of fairness. I got into law with the idea that law is one of the final determinants of what's fair, what's not fair, and of course the scales of justice and all of that. And certainly as the oldest of seven in my family, the others would come to me often when there was a dispute, and I was called upon to judge who should be the victor, and you also always try to find some middle ground where you're not going to just side with one or the other. So fairness has always been one of those very core values, that we treat each other as fairly as we can, and certainly with school, with other opportunities, I like to see everyone have an equal chance to enjoy these benefits that we have.
Well, I look forward to meeting your kids, because I'm sure you accomplished that. So, John, is this the first time you've actually run for office, or have there been other times?
It is. I'm currently an office holder, technically an office holder in Ventura County as a member of the Democratic Central Committee. I ran for office last time. That's not a very high-profile office, but it's nonetheless an official office. I have a certificate from the registrar, and but this is the first time I've sought a public office of that's as high of profile as this particular office. I've been president of many clubs, currently president of the California Faculty Association at Cal State Channel Islands, I've taken a leadership role in almost everything I've gotten involved in, and I'm one of these people that can't say no, I guess, in some cases. But this is the first time I've really tried to make an appeal to a wide number of voters to get a job that is of this level.
Okay, well, one question I'm sure we would like to know is, given the opportunity that you get elected, what would you like to accomplish?
Well, there are a number of things that I think we could improve upon in terms of what is happening in our assessor's office right now. For one thing, our assessor has gotten the idea that he can be creative and overzealous in his role as the assessor. What I would bring to the job is really more a sense of teamwork. Our assessor has taken a position that's completely out of step with the other 57 assessors in California. There are 58 assessors, one in each county, and our assessor has taken a position that is unique amongst all these 58 assessors. I, on the other hand, would look to those other assessors for guidance. I would like to think that we're a team, all of us around the state, and that we act in unison with each other. That's the fair thing to do. The fact that we have one tax policy in Ventura County and another throughout the rest of the state strikes me as unfair. And to adhere to my values, I believe that we should all be in sync with each other. So I would very much emphasize the team approach to assessments and not try to go out on my own to craft a new way of assessing people's real estate.
So, just to get it on video, the exact position you're going for is the Ventura County.
The Ventura County Assessor, yes, is the name of the office.
Okay, just in case I missed that.
Yeah.
That's my bad. So,
Yeah.
just want to make sure you do that.
What the assessor does is place a value on primarily real estate throughout the county, but also some personal property. And it's on the basis of that valuation that property is taxed. And so it's an exact derivative of what you pay for your property tax is determined by what that assessed value is on your real property.
What would this, just to close up, what question do you think you'd like to be asked?
Are you fair?
Are you fair?
Can you be fair in this role? Can you work with others very well? Can you communicate? Are you good with customer relations? Because after all, we serve the taxpayers in this job, and I have a background in customer relations. Certainly, my job with the airlines as a flight attendant was right in the center of being a customer relations person. And I know what it means to offer good customer relations. Communications is very important, I think. My communication skills have been honed by virtue of my role as a teacher. Fairness, too. Every semester I have to give out grades, and so I'm acting upon my sense of fairness in that role. So I would say those are the things that I would like to bring to this job, and to some extent I see lacking.
Well, John, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come and talk to our viewers. So Godspeed, good luck in everything you do. So thank you so much for being a part of the Meet the Candidate program. This is Peter Godinez, KADYTV.net. And we appreciate